Не уверен, но походу здесь был теракт. Я не берусь ничего утверждать. Probably terrorists. I'm not sure. I don't know. Не знаю, или на машине, или на грузовике. Это достаточно оживленная улица, туристическая. Ну, сколько я видел, не знаю, наверное, в районе 5, точно не знаю, но я видел как бы точно кто... В общем, мертвых в районе где-то 3 я видел. Грузовик, не знаю, нету, не вижу ничего. Наверное, где-то в одной из улиц перекрытых. Jag tror de här säger killarna som nådde livstream och de säger att on the news they say that this was a terrorist attack.
Terrorist attack.
Yeah, I don't know. So they say не знаю, наверное, можно. Грузовик, я думаю, он в одной из улиц перекрытых. 6. Не видно, нету. Есть, да, я так полагаю. Да, еще военные подтянулись. И сейчас полностью очищают улицы со всех сторон. Там военные, да. Здесь борются за жизнь человека. Извиняюсь. Да. Машина или грузовик наехал на проезжую часть, где на пешеходную часть, туристическую улицы. Думаю, террористическая атака.
A truck has crashed into a department store. Swedish radio is reporting that at least 2 people have been killed. Police have sealed off part of the city centre after the truck was driven into pedestrians through a pedestrianised area of the city. It's not clear as yet if the action was deliberate, but we are hearing reports from the ground that shots were fired. Witnesses at the scene say they saw what appeared to be bodies lying in the street covered by blankets. I'm also hearing from our security correspondent Frank Gardner that shots have been fired in another part of Stockholm from where the truck attack took place, so further away. So it is possible that there are 2 incidents ongoing at the moment in Stockholm. This is a picture of that central shopping district. You can see that there are now no cars, no people on the street. We've seen pictures on Twitter of armed police circulating in the area, and there is also a still footage on social media of this truck in the corner of a building. It's ploughed into an upmarket department store, and looking at that picture, how far it's gone in, you would have to suggest that it was going at some speed. Let's bring in Richard Galpin, who's been following events for us. Obviously this has only been breaking the last hour, so details are a little bit sketchy at the moment, but what else can you add to that?
Well, I think the key thing we're hearing now is apparently the subway in Stockholm has been closed down, and I think that's looks like another indication that this is some kind of attack. Of course, we do not know for sure. We're still waiting for confirmation from the police. But we certainly know that the national radio broadcasters reports are saying that the police are treating it as a terrorist attack. But we're still waiting for that confirmation. But as you say, I mean, there are now reports of shots being fired. And the fact that they've closed down the subway would indicate that they are concerned that potentially people are on the loose in the city who they would want to try and arrest.
The Swedish Prime Minister, according to Reuters, is just saying that Sweden has been attacked, everything indicating it is an act of terrorism. And I mentioned Frank Gardner, our security correspondent, saying that there was a second incident possibly underway. We've heard a number of reports about that, a little bit further away, we think, from that pedestrianised area.
Yeah, to be honest, we don't have any more details on that at all, so it's very difficult to actually give any more information at this stage. But as you said, I mean, the fact that the Prime Minister, the government are now saying this, it does look like this is a terrorist attack.
Obviously, it comes in the context of what happened here in London a couple of weeks ago, and there are real fears now across Europe about this pattern that is emerging of vehicles being used as weapons.
And if you remember, at the time of the Westminster attack, people talked about the fear of copycat attacks. I mean, at the time, obviously, we were thinking what might happen in this country, but this does look very much to be a very similar style attack, but using a huge lorry. As you're saying, in that photograph, there's a still photograph where you can see it's a very big lorry which has gone into the side of a building, has obviously smashed in, gone quite a long way in. So this was using a very heavy, big vehicle, which obviously could cause very significant casualties.
And I've seen that for myself in Nice. I was reporting for the BBC down there. 86 people killed by this truck which was careering down the promenade on the front. And there's very little you can do to stop them. I mean, I understand from this area in Sweden there aren't barriers in place. So unless it had smashed, or until that point that it had smashed into the department store, there's nothing much you can do.
No, absolutely. I mean, you can't have barriers or bollards which are going to stop vehicles going through right away through a city centre. It's impossible to do that. And, you know, with a lorry this big as well, it would have enormous momentum. It would be able to break through barricades, you'd have thought. So but it's very, very difficult to protect absolutely everywhere.
A school footballer, a baby face, a broad smile. This was the aspiring pharmacist who would become a thug, then a career criminal, then a terrorist. This image, a year old, is of the man who once dreamed of being an indie rock star, the lead singer in a band. He did achieve notoriety, but this is how he'll be remembered. With knives and a hire car, he did this. And in each of the many towns where he's lived today, people spoke of a man who was violent, but also reserved.
He was always intimidating, very, very intelligent, never rude or unpleasant, but there was always something unpleasant about him. And I quite clearly remember when he slashed the face of another licensee at another pub. He'd had a row with somebody in the other village, and he didn't know which car the chap's was, so he slashed everybody's tyres.
From the raided homes, cars were seized today. This is just one of the 3,000 pieces of evidence being studied. It's 2 days since armed officers arrested a man here at this home in Birmingham. The city still the focus of this massive operation. Overnight, 2 arrests to answer 2 significant questions. Why did Khalid Masood do it? And did anyone help him?
Our investigation focuses on understanding his motivation, his preparation, and his associates.
Masood was born in Kent on Christmas Day 1964. He was named Adrian Elms and was also known as Adrian Russell Adjeo. As a teenager, he went to Huntley School for Boys in Tunbridge Wells.
He always seemed quite happy. He was always very friendly to everybody. I think he wanted to be liked. He was just a character.
But after school, he turned to crime. He served time in several prisons over 20 years. Wayland in Norfolk was one of them. He was convicted for criminal damage aged 18 and later for assault and possession of an offensive weapon. After converting to Islam, he used the names Khalid Chowdhury, then finally Khalid Masood. And ITV News has learned he went to Saudi Arabia to work as an English teacher for a year in 2005 and went back for another year in 2008. Back in Britain, he lived in Luton and most recently in Birmingham. On the day before the attack, he checked into a hotel in Brighton. Parked outside was the hire car which would become a weapon. Before he went to his room, he joked with the landlord and with other guests.
I stood next to an atrocious killer without knowing it, without having any inkling what he was about to plan to do. And the shocking realization that also comes with that somebody can be what you would call normal, is firmly on his way to do something absolutely atrocious.
For some of the officers guarding Westminster, the pain is personal, and it's still there. Day 3, the flags fly low, and for investigators, the answers have yet to emerge.